10 shillings or more, enter your PIN and press OK, then choose 10 numbers from 1 to 80 and send to 29588. And you can win up to 30 million shillings every 4 minutes. Deposit, play, and win with Mega Dollar. Big game for big winners.
Vote for KBC Channel 1 as your favorite TV station for the Kuza Broadcasting Awards 2018. SMS the word Kuza to 15601. It's absolutely free. Voting ends on 9th May. Vote, vote, vote.
Every 4 minutes is a chance for you to win big with Mega Dollar. Just go to Lipa na M-Pesa, enter paybill number 295888, account name KBC, and amount from 10 shillings or more. Then select your 10 numbers from 1 to 80 and send to 29588. You can win up to 30 million shillings. Start playing now and win. Mega Dollar. Big winners every 4 minutes.
Joining us for this edition of Channel 1 Lunchtime News. A very good afternoon to you. My name is Edward Kabasa. I welcome you to the program. Our sign language interpreter this afternoon is Tim Dunde. Farmers in Mandera County are counting huge losses following floods that wreaked havoc in the area. River Dawa is said to have broken its banks, spilling its waters to adjacent farms and homes in the area. And as Ron Clifford reports, over 100,000 people remain homeless following the heavy downpour at the coastal counties of Tana River and Kilifi.
Mandera County is submerged in water. The situation is especially dire for small-scale farmers who are counting losses amounting to millions of shillings after flood waters washed away their farms.
Sababu maji ya mto na maji ya mvua yote yameingia hapa. Karibu kama mzee hii eka 5 alikuwa ya mwele ndio umebanda. Mahindi bia yanyi hiko umeenda.
River Dawa has burst, its banks and farms nearby are flooded. The farmers now turning to government for relief assistance, saying they have been left with nothing. The river stretches for more than 150 kilometers from Malkamari in Banisa to border point 1 Mandera.
Maji ambayo inatoka Bulaha Mulima imetuharibu shamba yetu, na ile inatoka mto imeharibu shamba. Wakati shamba imeharibika, tena mvurugo imeongezeka. Kile ilipandwa mimea aina yoyote, chakula yoyote, wale wa scheme, wale walimaji wengine ambaye tuko na jirani, hakuna kitu mitoka, zote zimemalizika.
In Kilifi County, over 2,000 residents are camping at Kakuyuni Primary School after being airlifted by the KDF choppers on Friday following the flooding of River Sabaki. However, it is a sigh of relief for the families as the government made a pledge to ensure they have enough supply of food.
Serikali kuu ikishirikiana na serikali ya county tutahakikisha muna chakula cha kutosha hapa kwenu.
In Tana River area, Deputy County Commissioner Michael Kioni has confirmed that more than half of the population in Hola sub-county has been displaced by flood waters. Most of the residents are now residing in camps and makeshift houses, with others completely cut off by impassable roads. The administrator is asking residents living in lowlands to move to higher grounds as the weatherman forecast an increase in rainfall in the next 4 days. Reporting for Channel 1 Lunchtime News, I'm Ron Cliff. OD.
The Kenya Private Sector Alliance wants the government to do business with companies that have adopted a code of ethics. A KBC Policy Research and Analysis Manager Victor Ogalo says some unscrupulous companies have been engaging with the government fraudulently, hence curtailing efforts to contain graft in government procurement process.
Introduction of technology in business, especially in public electronic procurement, as well as the Anti-Bribery Act of 2015, are some of the celebrated milestones in promoting integrity in business procurement between the government and private sector. However, there are some companies that have not complied with the code of ethics yet. They are assessing government contracts, a situation that some players in sector see as watering down the fight against corruption.
It was actually KBC that spearheaded the Bribery Act that we have at the moment, okay, which was then signed in December 2016. This was after the realization that we actually needed to be at the front and center of tackling corruption. But we also aware that even as we put all these issues on the table, you are dealing with people perhaps who have the public have concerns with them around corruption, for instance.
Set ourselves to look for solutions. Therefore, we're part of the solution, not part of the problem, and we don't get that backlash, because usually you're already showing people how they can survive without corruption, rather than saying, stop corruption, I don't care how you survive.
Old integrity, he was very pleased.
For this reason, KBC, in partnership with the Center for International Private Enterprise, has launched a campaign drive dubbed Value for Money in Public Taxes, aimed at ensuring private businesses adopt code of conduct to enhance best practices in their business engagements.
We encourage businesses to open themselves up for scrutiny so that they can also be trained on how to adopt these good practices internally, and then they can also be audited. The purpose for auditing, other than self-regulation, is so that you can identify your points of weakness that you can that require to be improved.
Ogalo was speaking during a 2-day anti-corruption compliance training in Machakos.
And in other matters, Kenya is at an advanced stage in ratifying Africa Continental Free Trade Area. International Trade Principal Secretary Chris Kipto says Kenya is soon depositing legal instruments with the African Union to make Kenya the third country in Africa to ratify the convention after Rwanda and Ghana. Just for that, but quick break here. We'll be right back with that particular story and so much more.
Je, waweza fanya nini kwa dakika 4?
Na mega dola.
Unaweza piga chef?
Na mega dola. Kila kitu ni mega.
Waweza pika ugali?
Na mega dola. Pesa hapa ni mega. Na mega.
Labda waweza fua nguo?
Ni mega. Na mega dola.
Ama unaweza tengeneza milioni 30. 4 minutes are enough to win big with Mega Dollar. Just go to Lipa na M-Pesa, select Pay Bill, enter business number 295888, enter account name KBC, deposit 10 shillings or more, enter your PIN and press OK, then choose 10 numbers from 1 to 80 and send to 29588. And you can win up to 30 million shillings every 4 minutes. Deposit, play, and win with Mega Dollar. The big game for big winners.
This week on KBC Channel 1. damn it to hell!
They have escaped Monte Cristo. Now we will have no way to find them.
Rebecca came to my house. I opened the door and she just came in and jumped on top of me.
Well, you asked for it, Dulce.
The Lamu Coal Plant project should be abandoned as it is a threat to tourism and the environment. We have Meriliki girls going against St. Francis Mangu girls.
The Lamu Coal project should be done with as it is a major possible catastrophe to tourism and the environment.
You too can rise up and dare to dream again. Find a reason to live.
The practice itself, during that time, there's just worship that goes out. And for me, that's the prayer that goes out, even for the people that she's helping at that particular time. So for me, that has been an impact for me.
Where were you when Gonzalo was shot?
If I told you that it was me, would you believe me?
They are witty.
Yeah.
They are gritty. They are funny to the bone and will tickle you down with laughter every weekend on KBC Channel 1. From the stage of stand-up comedy to the courtroom of intricacies starring the best of Kenyan comedians. Join us for a weekend of laughter galore.
The Lamu Coal Plant project should be abandoned as it is a threat to tourism and the environment. We have Meriliki girls going against St. Francis Mangu girls.
The Lamu Coal project should be done with as it is a major possible catastrophe to tourism and the environment.
The coal plant provides most stable and reliable source of energy in that the project will generate a gross power of 1,050 megawatts.
So now you're a real estate agent.
The question is, why isn't she in her bed?
How would I know?
Welcome back. Kenya is at an advanced stage in ratifying Africa Continental Free Trade Area. International Trade Principal Secretary Chris Kipto says Kenya is soon depositing legal instruments with the African Union to make Kenya the third country in Africa to ratify the convention after Rwanda and Ghana. Last month, 44 African countries signed the African Continental Free Trade Area, a free trade agreement that will create one of the largest free trade areas in the world. The agreement will, however, only come into force after partner countries deposit the required number of ratification instruments. Kenya, which is a party to the agreement, is working to get its legal frameworks in place, with necessary documents expected to be deposited in the coming months.
We just need another 19 countries for this agreement to come into force. And I think there are many countries, going by the indication of the 44 that signed, we are very optimistic that the threshold of 22 countries will be arrived.
International Trade Principal Secretary Chris Kipto says Kenya is aiming to be the third country after Ghana and Rwanda to put our papers in order a month after the agreement was signed.
And we then are optimistic that Kenya will have the opportunity to trade freely with most of the African countries. At the moment, Kenya is doing well in terms of its exports to Africa, because our exports are ranged between 41 to 45% to African countries. So we are already doing well in terms of trading with Africa, and yet it's not a free trade area.
The PS called upon member states in Africa to invest in knowledge on the multilateral trading system in order to fully appreciate and leverage on the vast market opportunities created by the free trade agreement. The free trade area aims to create a single African market for goods and services with free movement of business persons and investments. Dr. Kipto was presiding over official closing of a 4-day African round of the European Law Students Association Moot Court competition on World Trade Organization law in Nairobi. The PS expressed concerns that whereas over 80% of African countries were members of the WTO, Africa's participation in the dispute settlement process at the WTO remained extremely low, despite the fact that they also experienced trade disputes worth taking to the World Trade Body. Kemako business community in Nairobi that relies mainly on selling goat meat wants the National Environment Management Authority to reopen the market it closed over a week ago. The community claims the market is the only source of their livelihood and the move will jeopardize their survival. The market was closed after failing to comply with the regulator's directive on waste disposal.
The Kiamaiko business community that relies on selling goat meat is feeling the pinch after NEMA shut down slaughterhouses in the area for not complying with the regulations on management of solid and liquid waste.
Tunasema tu wenyewe watu wakae waongee, wasikizane, hiyo shida yenye iko iangaliwe. Mwenye kuna makosa, yeye mwenyewe pande yake yenyewe aangaliwe, kwa sababu wenyewe sisi wote tuyuko kwa makosa sisi wote, na tukakuumia hadi watoto wetu.
The community says they have not refused to comply with the directive, but needs much time, claiming the move that was taken to close the market was hurried and is a big blow to their livelihoods.
Sisi tuna shida sana, tunaomba vichinjio zetu zifunguliwe. Kama ni shida ya sewage tutatekeleza, lakini sasa zikifungwa tuwezi tekeleza juu hakuna chochote tunafanyia.
We lost around almost 50 million. Tumeenda loss since it is closed. So tuko na shida, tunaomba serikali ya county government ijaribu kusaidia.
The community claims hundreds of youth rely on the market to eke a living, and driving them out to the street will increase the rate of crime in the area as they have got no other means of survival.
Jana wetu kama saizi vichinjio hazina kazi, pengine wataingilia mambo mabaya, mambo ya uwizi, na ndio tunataka kwa hivyo zifunguliwe ili wasiweze kuingilia mambo ya uwizi. Tuwe tunachuja hiyo uchafu, maji yapite peke yake, uchafu tunasikia tunaenda kumwaga huko chini. Kuna shimo liko pale chini karibu na daraja, kuna shimo lilichimbwa. Wakati vichinjio ilijengwa, kuna shimo kubwa ilichimbwa hapo ya kwenda kumwaga huo uchafu wote hapo.
The slaughterhouses were closed on Monday for not having wastewater pre-treatment facilities. According to NEMA, slaughterhouses are a major source of pollutants to Nairobi River, which is currently under rehabilitation.
Laikipia Governor Nderitu Mureithi now says more needs to be done to ensure the rehabilitation of the Nyahururu bus park meets the required standards. Speaking during an inspection tour of the bus park, the governor called for the installation of adequate lighting and drainage system, challenging locals to be prepared for a 24-hour economy once the project is complete.
Residents and businessmen of Nyahururu town are now set for some reprieve after the county government of Laikipia facilitated the rehabilitation and expansion of the Nyahururu bus park. Laikipia Governor Nderitu Mureithi, speaking while on a tour of the 13.6 million shilling project, said more needs to be done to improve the size and infrastructure of the bus park.
Stage si barabara tu peke yake, ni mambo mingi. Mahoteli tulio naye hapa, kioski zetu, mahali ya kujisaidia, hiyo yote ni part ya stage na tunataka tuimarishe yote. Tungependa kwa mfano hizi kiosk tusaidie hawa iwe nice standard, kwenda yote, sio moja ni ndefu, ingine ni fupi, ingine ni nyembamba. Ukarabati wa drainage na tayari waziri wangu amewaeleza. Pia tunataka kushirikiana, kwa mfano kuna sehemu fulani kiosk iko juu ya drainage. Sasa inakuwa ni shida kuitengeneza hiyo drainage. Kwa hivyo mawaziri watafanya kazi na wale ambao wana involved ni kuhusika katika eneo hizo. Tunataka kuhakikisha kwamba drainage inakuwa safi.
He further assured residents that the county government remained committed to ensuring the completion of the project within the set timelines.
Barabara ile mnasema Nuclear Road pale, barabara kutoka hapa Silos Lodge kwenda kuzunguka mpaka pale mnaita Gedhaa ine, hizi barabara zote tayari zimetangazwa, makandarasi yametangazwa, macontractors wameleta bids zao. Kwa hivyo tunatarajia inside 1 month kwamba hawa macontractors watakuwa pale.
Matatu operators challenged area residents to ensure the bus park remained clean, calling for the installation of watering points and toilets within the bus park to address for hygiene purposes. For Channel 1 Lunchtime News, I'm Vitalis Nyago.
School principals and head teachers have been urged to come up with a clear plan on how to identify needy learners who deserve bursaries. Mbeere South Member of Parliament Geoffrey Kingangi said corruption had blocked needy students from benefiting from bursaries.
Speaking after he dispersed checks worth 4.5 million to the needy students in Mbeere South, Kingangi said that he will always make sure that beneficiaries of the bursary are listed down in the public notice board where community can have access to make their input. Kingangi said that secrecy has been exhibited in the past by the constituency's bursaries committees and has been clear to enable the voiceless enjoy their right to education.
We want to demystify bursaries, both in terms of, mystify, I think, both from the root word mystery, and we can also make it from the root word mist. I think it has also would be mysterious and also covered with a lot of mist that you could not see through. So we would demystify in terms of removing the mystery and also in terms of clearing the mist.
Principals from the constituency led by Emilio Mushungu said that the money given for free education is not enough and called on members of parliament to secure more funds for education to enhance smooth learning. They also pleaded with the Teachers Service Commission to stop transferring teachers far from their families, saying it was destroying the family setup.
Tunaona hii kitu inaitwa relocalization itatuua, itamaliza familia zetu na tena itatumaliza sisi wenyewe, especially this marginalized community kama sisi, because opportunity ikipatikana za kazi maybe zitatuma kutoka Nairobi, na basi ikipatikana principal itatoka wapi? Nairobi. Maybe ni mtu anatolewa kutoka wale wanajulikana ndio analetwa hapa kwetu.
Kenya National Union of Teachers Busia branch wants the top union officials to stop the leadership wrangles and devote in serving its membership. The union says the leadership will derail efforts to speak as one voice on matters affecting the welfare of teachers, which the body was primarily set up for.
Speaking during a meeting in Busia, the branch SNAT Secretary General Mark Oseno expressed concerns of lack of time between the teachers and learners, as well as the disinterest of leadership of the union in serving teachers as a major blow to the education sector in the country. Oseno warned that the current leadership wrangles in the union was providing fodder for those against the welfare of teachers to hit back.
So we cannot continue fighting in offices. Na walimu wanafanya nini? Wanadai. Teachers are crying. Teachers are being frustrated, things are not moving on, lakini ukienda mfangano, people are just fighting, sijui nataka hii kiti, sijui nibakie kwa hii, sijui, that kind of nonsense should stop.
He said the union's top leaders should come together and iron out their differences before the situation gets out of hand.
In Nairobi that is going to address these issues, we want to treat the real ailment of eating into the unions and causing us this pain, so that we come out clean.
A section of teachers have been fighting the union's SG, Wilson Sosion, seeking his resignation on grounds that he is now a nominated MP and can therefore not fully serve the interest of teachers.
Efforts to restore Mombasa town and its environs have kicked off in earnest, with stakeholders joining hands to rid the tourist hub of garbage. The effort saw piles of garbage cleared from the town in a cleanup exercise organized by the Mombasa County Government, the Kenya Ports Authority, and the Center for Water Governance.
It has been the center for debate, the piling garbage in the coastal town of Mombasa. That has almost suffocated the tourist hub. And amid the outcry, stakeholders joined hands in a cleanup exercise that sought to restore the town to its former glory, dubbed the Talanta na Usafi Campaign 2018. The cleanup exercise kicked off in Nyali constituency, where scores of volunteers were mobilized to sweep pavements, streets and alleyways, as well as clean clogged gutters. Lobby Group's Executive Director Victoria Nzioka says they decided to take up the challenge following growing concern over deteriorating standards in the coastal town.
Usafi si jukumu la serikali pekee. Tunasema kwamba usafi ni wa kila mtu. Ndio sababu tunasema usafi wetu jukumu letu. Kila mtu adumishe usafi. Tusingoje kwamba county government, tusitegemee county government na national government na watu wengine wa serikali kwamba ndio watafanya usafi. Tunasema usafi inaanza na mimi na wewe.
Mombasa Senator Mohamed Faki raising concern over continued littering in the tourist resort town. There was need to encourage residents not to dump rubbish in undesignated spots.
Tungeomba wananchi kwamba tuweke mazingira yetu safi. Kama ni mitungi yetu ya kuweka maji, tuhakikishe kwamba kila tunapobadilisha maji tunaisafisha kisawasawa ili tusiweke mazingira ya mbwa chimkunya kuweza kukua na kuweza kutushambulia.
The efforts coming amid growing concerns over possible outbreak of waterborne diseases with the onset of the long rainy season.
Tumeona kwamba mvua imeanza kunyesha, kwa hivyo tumekuja kukumbushana mambo ya usafi, kwa sababu tukiweka mazingira safi tutaondoa magonjwa kama malaria, chikungunya, dengue fever, cholera na maradhi mengine ambayo yametukabili.
Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka has moved in to mediate over an altercation between Kitui Governor Charity Ngilu and Mwingi Central MP Dr. Gideon Mulyungi. The two leaders have been engaged in a supremacy battle that has degenerated into public spat.
The bad blood between Kitui Governor Charity Ngilu and Mwingi Central MP Dr. Gideon Mulyungi came into force just a week after the Kamba Koma meeting in Machakos early this month, in which supporters of both leaders clashed in Mwingi town. Mulyungi is said to be eyeing the Kitui gubernatorial position. Wiper Party Kalonzo Musyoka has now intervened as he seeks to put out the political fire.
Mulyungi,
Honorable Mulyungi, calm down. Calm down. I don't want fights between you and the Governor Ngilu. We have been political antagonists with Charity for a long time, but now she is the governor of Kitui. We cannot realize any development with continuous squabbles. Speaking at the burial ceremony of Mzee Paul Mutemi, a long-time political friend in Mwingi Central constituency, Kalonzo said the political wars might cost his quest for the 2022 presidential bid. The Wiper leader has in the meantime differed with those cautioning against 2022 political succession talk.
Mheshimiwa Raila anafanya vizuri kukutana na viongozi wengine. Uhuru pia jana wameongea kule Murang'a na Raila na wakasema nia yao ilikuwa ni kuunganisha wa Kenya.
Kwa heshima yote tafadhali, Your Excellency Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, usiunge mtu mwingine mkono.
Elsewhere, Narok leaders led by Area Governor Samuel Oletunai have called on leaders to keep off politics and focus on development agenda.
Siasa mbaya, maisha mbaya. Siasa mzuri, maisha mazuri. Leo tunataka kuweka siasa kando, tufanyie wananchi kazi.
Katiba ikibadilishwa iwekwe serikali ya aina tatu, ni nzuri kwenyu ama ni mbaya? Sasa nyinyi ndio mnasema, si mimi nimesema.
Meanwhile, Kiamba Member of Parliament Paul Koinange has attributed laxity and demoralization among police officers to their poor living conditions.
The policemen's living conditions are very pathetic, and I now understand why many policemen, they behave how they behave on the road, or even when they encounter the public, because they usually come out of their bed with a lot of anger because the situation is very bad.
He spoke after touring police stations in Kabete and Limuru on a fact-finding mission when he came face to face with the hard reality facing the police housing deficiencies. Samson Kitavi, Lunchtime News.
A new concept by a non-government organization is promising to improve education outcomes among rural communities in Kilifi and Kwale counties. The project, spearheaded by Coins for Kenya Foundation, involves building over 100 state-of-the-art classroom blocks within the two counties in efforts aimed at improving education standards in the coastal region.
It was the groundbreaking of the education project at Chonyi Primary School in Rabai, funded by non-government organization Coins for Kenya Foundation. Organization's chair Brett Van Duwen taking the chance to outline his project objectives that he says will translate into better teaching outcomes in the region that has performed poorly in national examinations.
For roughly 2.5 million shillings, we build our water cistern, our classrooms. We build the desks inside the classrooms, about 50 desks, and then we also have the latrines in there.
Rabai Member of Parliament William Kamuti lauding the initiative, saying it will help transform education standards in the region.
Mjengo huu ambao wametujengea na kutuwekea madawati pale chini, ukiangalia CDF ilijenga bloki ile unayoiona pale chini ni ya CDF, lakini kama ingekuwa si hawa ingekuwa ni bloki ile tu.
The foundation has pledged to partner with county governments and government agencies to help address challenges in the education and health sectors.
And further afield, North Korea has announced that it will close one of its nuclear test sites next month. The closure of the Pangjiri site will be conducted in public with foreign experts from South Korea and the United States invited to witness. Scientists have said the site may have partially collapsed in September.
Situated in the mountainous terrain in the northeast, Pongyeri nuclear test site is thought to be the North's main nuclear facility. 6 nuclear tests have been carried out there since 2006. After the last in September 2017, a series of aftershocks hit the site, which seismologists believe collapsed part of the mountain's interior. The information about the nuclear site has been gathered mainly from satellite imagery and tracking the movement of equipment at the location. The latest development is another significant and symbolic step by Kim Jong-un. He had already announced he would be closing the Pongyeri test site, but now he has told officials of South Korea that he is prepared to make it public and invite experts and media from